CE announces sanctions against the Philippines. An elderly man dies from H7N9 bird flu after visiting Shenzhen. And Obama pushes for programs to narrow economic disparities.
Good evening. Hong Kong has imposed sanctions against the Philippines over the 2010 Manila hostage crisis. In making the announcement today, Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying cited the refusal by the Philippine government to offer a formal apology. Evelina Leung has more.
I now announce that the Hong Kong SAR government will implement the first phase of sanctions with effect from the 5th of February 2014. Which is next Wednesday. We will suspend the 14-day visa-free arrangement applicable to holders of diplomatic or official passports of the Republic of the Philippines. To visit Hong Kong, holders of these passports will have to apply for a visa beforehand in accordance with normal procedures to the Immigration Department of Hong Kong or the Chinese diplomatic and consular missions overseas.
Leung said since a meeting with Philippine President Benigno Aquino in Bali last year, both governments have been working hard to try to resolve the 2010 tragedy that left 8 people from Hong Kong dead. Hong Kong and Manila made progress on 3 other demands: compensation, holding Philippine officials accountable, and enhancing tourist safety. But Leung said the two sides were divided on a formal apology from the Philippine government, which he called the most important demand. About 700 to 800 people are expected to be affected every year by today's announcement. Lawmaker James To, who represents the victims and their families, said they fully support Leung's decision.
I feel that it is an appropriate response, and it is the first ever sanction that the SAR government imposed on a foreign government. And it sent a very clear message that the government is very determined to fight for justice for Hong Kong people, for Chinese people. And we hope that the Philippine side would get the message and would change their attitude in the negotiation table.
Evelina Leung, TVB News.
On to other news now, and a 75-year-old man who visited Shenzhen last week died from the H7N9 strain of bird flu in Chunmun Hospital this morning. He was the 4th confirmed case involving Hong Kong residents. Stephanie Choi with more details.
The elderly man died from bird flu after visiting Shenzhen between January 20th and 26th. The Center for Health Protection says the 75-year-old only had a cough when he got back to Hong Kong last Sunday, so he wasn't stopped by health personnel at the border crossing.
He only developed fever on 28th of January, 2 days later. So I think I'll take this opportunity to advise people who had contact, who had visited high-risk area to observe their health. And if they develop any symptoms of infection, please seek medical advice as soon as possible.
The elderly patient who had existing health problems was admitted to Tuen Mun Hospital last night for respiratory problems. He died this morning. His family members and other patients who shared his hospital ward show no symptoms of the H7N9 bird flu so far, but they have been quarantined. During his visit to Bao'an, Shenzhen, the man stayed in a building where there's a live poultry market on the ground floor. But the Center for Health Protection assures the public that so far there have been no cases of human-to-human transmission of avian flu. It also says one of the best ways to avoid the flu is to maintain good hygiene. If you're planning to visit the mainland over the Chinese New Year holidays, the Center for Health Protection says you should avoid contact with live poultry and keep your hands as clean as possible. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
Well, the government is rethinking its position on the live poultry trade here to reduce the risk of future avian flu outbreaks. But local farms think they should be exempt from any potential ban. Vicky Kung with that story.
The latest bird flu scare has forced the government to seriously rethink how Hong Kong can safely meet the demand for live poultry, especially chicken.
I think regarding the long-term decision as to how to arrange for the live chicken supply to the local market, or whether we should maintain such an arrangement, is a long-term question that we will look into.
Ko-Wing Man unveiled plans today to consult the public on whether Hong Kong should stop cultivating live poultry and turn to chilled meat instead to prevent future outbreaks of avian flu. But some lawmakers blame a failure in the bird flu screening process, which forced health authorities to cull 20,000 chickens yesterday.
The major cause of this smart slaughtering of the chicken caused by we integrate the imported chicken with the local chicken, and there is no separate location to prevent such contamination. So if we cannot ensure to have another alternative place for settling this imported chicken, it is very likely that another round of contamination will occur.
Some local farmers believe the government should stop importing live poultry from the mainland and rely solely on local supply. Alan Tang, owner of a local farm, suggested a way to boost local supply.
If the government can give a chance for the farmer of Hong Kong to import of the fertilized egg around the world, especially from Europe or the United States, we can have raise up our birds in amount, and so the problem was solved.
Tang says about 20,000 live chickens are sold daily in Hong Kong, 2/3 of which are raised locally and the remaining are imported from the mainland. He thinks if the government raises the cap on the number of birds local farms can hold, they can meet Hong Kong's poultry demand. Tang says local chickens and mainland chickens are priced similarly on the wholesale market. He insists banning mainland chickens will not inflate the price. Vicky Kong, TVB News.
The Secretary for Justice has come under fire from pan-Democrats after giving his strongest position yet against the legitimacy of civil and party nominations for the chief executive election. Critics say his comments are unhelpful, given the consultation period on the issue is still ongoing. Writing in local English and Chinese newspapers, Secretary for Justice Rim-Ski-Yoon repeated the official stance that direct nominations of CE candidates by registered voters or political parties are inconsistent with the Basic Law. He says it's been debated that the mini-constitution should be seen as a living instrument with interpretations that adapt to change in society. But he wrote that this does not pay sufficient heed to the clear language of Article 45. He also says a document released by the Civic Party about the issue apparently confused nomination power with nomination procedure, and also the distinct concepts of nomination and recommendation. But Civic Party leader Alan Leung today rejected the Justice Chief's points and criticised him for selectively interpreting the law.
The pan-Democrats' proposal of the three methods to seek nomination in no way ignores the constitutional position of the nomination committee. The nomination committee can still, in its own right, nominate people to become CE candidate. And also, the Secretary for Justice deliberately and conveniently ignores democratic process, which is key to Article 45 wordings.
It is, of course, not right for any official, while they are conducting the consultation, to come out and preclude certain suggestions. If you talk to 3 lawyers, you probably get 4 or 5 views. So who is he to say that he has the definitive view?
Legal sector lawmaker Dennis Kwok said his profession's consensus is that the nomination procedure is not there to screen out candidates. But Chief Secretary for Administration Carrie Lam insisted that Yoon was simply clarifying the legal framework of the reform rather than precluding any suggestions for it.
Turning overseas now, US President Barack Obama used his annual State of the Union address to focus on America's economic divide. As James Aiken reports, Obama's message of action was intended as much for a divided Congress as it was for ordinary Americans.
Facing some of his lowest approval ratings since first taking office, Barack Obama set off to the joint session of Congress to energize his administration's sluggish second term.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
His message: he will take action with or without the help of Congress.
What I offer tonight is a set of concrete, practical proposals to speed up growth, strengthen the middle class, and build new ladders of opportunity into the middle class. Some require congressional action, and I am eager to work with all of you. But America does not stand still, and neither will I. So wherever and whenever I can take steps without legislation to expand opportunity for more American families, that's what I'm going to do.
Those steps include issuing executive orders to improve wages, retirement security, immigration, and job training. Obama highlighted the low unemployment rate, a rebounding housing market, reduced deficits, and rising domestic oil production.
For the first time in over a decade, business leaders around the world have declared that China is no longer the world's #1 place to invest. America is.
Obama also touched on issues that have stalled in Congress, like closing the U.S. military prison at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. In their sanctioned response to Obama, Republicans were quick to take aim at his signature health care law as an example of his failed policies.
The president's policies are making people's lives harder. No, we shouldn't go back to the way things were. But this law is not working. Republicans believe healthcare choices should be yours.
But analysts said the speech was powerful because Obama kept his goals small.
This is Barack Obama the realist. It's no longer Barack Obama the idealist.
With 3 years left in his presidency, Obama has laid out a go-it-alone strategy that dispensed with lofty ambitions and instead offered plans to help ordinary Americans get ahead. The speech also set the tone for Congress ahead of the November midterm elections. James Aiken, TVB News.
And still ahead in our news tonight. 2 more New Citizens Movement activists convicted in Beijing. New tender for RTHK's new headquarters. And 33 tons of baby milk powder seized from travellers since restrictions began.